Hello everyone and welcome to a very special video where I am going to go in full detail about my current Scoops Phantom draft for the draft of 2022. Now, well, for the 2023 season, but you know what 2023 season, but you know what I mean. Now I'm going to go through my picks that I made the post of last night. I'm going to outline them again, but I'm going to give reasons as to why I did those moves and who other players that could be in those mix or those picks contention. Now, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate if you can do so. Costs absolutely nothing. Helps get the channel out there more. Hoping to get more draft leads on before the draft and potentially after the draft. Fingers crossed. Now, at pick 1, I have not got the Giants bidding on Will Ashcroft. So with pick 1 of the Giants selecting key forward from Victoria, Aaron Cadman. Pretty plain and simple choice. We know that's who they're picking, so there's no one else in the mix. The only thing that they will consider is if they bid on Will Ashcroft or not. But I've got the Giants selecting Aaron Cadman with pick 1, because generally you don't have a bid at pick 1. Will this be the year? Could be. As of right now, I have the Giants selecting Aaron Cadman with pick 1. North Melbourne have pick 2. I have them bidding on Will Ashcroft, which obviously Brisbane will match. Therefore, pick 2 becomes the Brisbane Lions, and they select and match Will Ashcroft. Again, that's pretty plain and simple. No one else is in the mix because it's a bid being matched from the Lions, which obviously will match. We've got picks 3 now and 4 for the North Melbourne Football Club. And with pick 3, I have the Roos selecting Harry Sheezel. George Warlaw at pick 4 as well for North Melbourne. With pick 4, North Melbourne select that I just decide that they'll pick. I think they'll pick is George Warlaw, Sheezel, Warlaw, whatever order, doesn't matter. The only other player in contention for the Roos would be Elijah Sardis, but I'm almost 99.9% confident that Roos will do that. Now, that's all the easy work done. Now, at pick 5, I've got the Bombers selecting Matthias Philippou. Now, when I interviewed Matthias, he mentioned that Essendon had a meeting with him and they brought in an SA teammate. They got pick 24, I think it is, off the top of my head. The Bombers, and they had an SA teammate. If that SA teammate is Isaac Keeler or Harry Barnett, that meeting will be very true. And that's what I'm hearing as well, that the Bombers are really interested into Matthias, and hence why they interviewed a teammate of his as well. Maybe the teammate bit wasn't necessarily they want the teammate, but they want to see how Matthias could go with other people in the room. Maybe, maybe not. But I've got the Bombers with pick 5 selecting Matthias Philippou. Other players in the mix will be Elijah Sardis and Bailey Humphrey. With pick 6, I've got the Gold Coast selecting Elijah Sardis. They could look at Ruben Ginby, Oliver Hollands, a brother of Elijah. But I see the Suns will pick Elijah Sardis next best option. They could consider Bailey Humphrey as well. With pick 7, I've got the Hawks taking Jai Clark, pinching him ahead of Geelong. I feel that this pick, well, Essendon's pick will set up the draft. This Hawthorn one could have a domino effect for the rest of the teams around the marks. And Kilda, West Coast, and Geelong will be impacted on what Hawthorn really do. And what I've got for the Hawks picking is Jai Clark. Then he's off the board. That's Geelong's first choice. So therefore, Geelong with pick 8 will select, in my opinion, Ruben Ginby, WA inside mid that can play at halfback, as he said on my podcast. Geelong want that type of play. If they miss out on Jai Clark is clearly their first preference. Ruben Ginby said he had met with Geelong multiple times along with St Kilda and the Eagles. So I think Ruben Ginby, if Jai Clark is gone, Geelong will select him, which makes a slider with pick 9 for the West Coast Eagles, Bailey Humphrey. Other players in the mix for the Eagles of that pick could be Elijah Hewitt, could be Jed Buslinger, could be Ruben Ginby if he's available. But I've got them selecting Bailey Humphrey. Now, the Bombers could select him and throw this completely out the window, but I don't think if Essendon don't take him, I think he'll pass Geelong and Hawthorn, and possibly Geelong. So therefore, that leaves the Eagles with pick 9 to select Bailey Humphrey. Pick 10, I've got the Saints selecting Cam McKenzie. A few weeks ago, I would have said Matthias Philippou was in that mix for that Saints pick. But I think it's now down to Ruben Ginby, who they've met with a few times as well, as he's mentioned to me. on the podcast. Cam McKenzie's NGA Academy. I think they're the main two in the mix. But I would not rule out a move for Jed Buslinger. I'm just keeping an eye out on that one. The key defender from WA. Pick 11. I've got Carlton taking Oliver Hollands, who he said he's met with multiple times with the Blues. He's a Carlton fan. He's had some meetings with the Bulldogs as well, but Bulldogs got to pick after. So I think that's irrelevant in a way. So Carlton will select Oliver Hollands, who they've been really into for a long time. If he doesn't go to the Gold Coast pick, I'm pretty confident he'll get all the way through to the Carlton pick. At pick 11, at pick 12, I think the Bulldogs will bid on Jasper Fletcher, father son of the Brisbane Lions. They will match, which means pick 12 will be Brisbane, and it will be matched, and Jasper Fletcher will officially join the Lions. Could be bid on a bit later, but I've got the Bulldogs forcing Brisbane to bid. And then with pick 13, the Western Bulldogs, I feel, will select Braden George, if all these cards go correctly above. I think, Braden George at pick 13. An explosive type player. Had an ACL injury mid-year, so probably won't play next year. But you got someone can play forward and can push in the midfield. Josh Dunkley replacement in a way over the years to come, so we'll have to wait and see if that's the move they do. But at this rate, that's who they pick. Oliver Holland's obviously in their thoughts as well. The Bulldogs don't need any key position players, so maybe they do look at Elijah Hewitt there. It might be too good to refuse them. Small forward Charlie Clark will come into that contention as well. At pick 14, I'm surprised he lasted this long, but few clubs don't need key position players, especially key defenders. So the Eagles at pick 14 I have selecting local talent, Jed Buslinger. They need key defenders. You can say Barras and McGovern. McGovern won't be there for much longer. Barras can play forward if need be. Shannon Hearn won't be there after next year. So this is the great replacement for the future. He's a local talent. They want to keep him. We'll get a local key defender who's worthy of being selected at pick 14. So Jed Buslinger. At pick 15, Melbourne. I've got them selecting Matt Jefferson, a key forward from Victoria. They need key forward options after losing Mitch Brown and Sam Wiedemann. They brought Shaki in. Ben Brown not in form this year. Matt Jefferson's a future key forward along with Jacob Van Rooyen they can have, so them two can partner up for years to come. So I've got Matt Jefferson there. I think they'll keep him for sure if he's available. At pick 16, unless there's a huge slider that it gets through all the way, like a Hollands or someone like that. Melbourne, so the Swans at pick 16, talking about a slide. Pick 16, I got the Swans selecting Elijah Hewitt from WA, a midfielder. The Swans will be targeting midfielders. Any midfielders in this bracket, Braden George, will be Ed Allen will be in this contention as well. Pick 17, I got the Giants selecting small forward Charlie Clark, a goal-kicking machine. The Giants need small forwards. They recruited Toby Bedford. They got Toby Green, the two Tobys, added Charlie to the mix. Charlie Clark. The Pies, they need key position depth, especially up forward. Isaac Killer's your man at pick 18. Collingwood select Isaac Killer from SA, key forward / ruck. That's the type of player Collingwood desperately need. At pick 19, I've got the Swans selecting Ed Allen, WA mid. Explosive play, can play up forward as well. The bolter of the draft, who's been in good form towards the back end of this year's. So with pick 19, as I said, Ed Allen, I think it's a great move for the Swans. Pick 20 and 21, the Giants I got them selecting Mitch Sabowski and Max Gruski. Two hard names to pronounce there, I know. At pick 20 and 21, GWS have got a small forward so far in Charlie Clark in my fandom draft. These are two guys they're looking at to play midfield and half-back range. They're the areas they need to look at. Half-back can play Whitfield, can play wing. Sapowski can play mid. Krowski can play half-back as well. So they're two guys they can look at there. And final pick I'm going through, Ollie Houghton at pick 22 for the Eagles. Different play can play up forward. They need some small forward type players. And Ollie Houghton could be their man. Now, guys, appreciate that. And there's other players in the mix like Josh Weddle, Harry Barnett, and the like. Alwan Davey, a bid might come around the 15 to 30 range. We'll have to wait and see. I will be dropping a fan draft the night before the actual draft on Monday, November 28 and 9. So keep an eye for that. And the rookie draft on the Wednesday, the 30th of November. Thank you. Please subscribe and take care, guys.